Good afternoon, distinguished members of TÜSİAD and BDI. Welcome to our webinar co-organized by TÜSİAD and BDI on the knowledge transfer in the fields of Industry 4.0. On behalf of TÜSİAD board, I would like to welcome you. Dear guests, for a long time, we have been witnessing radical paradigm shift under the fourth industrial revolution. Industry 4.0 is not only about digitalization of production, but also about innovation, increased productivity, and added value. Path for digital transformation and sustainable innovation ecosystem requires close communication and collaboration between all stakeholders, including governments, companies, universities, and civil society organizations. As TÜSİAD, we are very happy to be part of Joint Economic and Trade Committee between Turkish and German governments. With JETCO, we are co-chairing the Industrial Cooperation Working Group along with BDI, our German counterpart within Business Europe, with which we have close relation for a long time. Together with BDI, as a part of JETCO framework for the last 3 years, we have particularly focused on digital transformation and organized a couple of events such as study tour to Germany, webinar on Gaia-X, and we have more in the pipeline. Our aim is to increase Industry 4.0 initiatives between two countries and enable knowledge and experience transfer between the private sectors. Germany, as one of the most prominent countries in the Industry 4.0 technologies, is a perfect example and inspiration for Turkey. According to the coalition protocol published last week, the upcoming federal government aims shaping the digital transformation by exploring synergies with the other policy areas to make Germany a better fit for the digital age. Relation between Germany and Turkey provide an efficient base for our joint efforts in digital transformation. Despite pandemic, Germany remained Turkey's main partner with a total trade volume, $33 billion in 2020 and $33 billion in January-October 2021 period. Distinguished guests, geopolitical and geoeconomic dynamics in COVID-19 era show us that the assumption of the late last century can no longer be taken. Through this challenging time, we need clear direction, applicable policies, as well as innovation vision. European Union's Sustainable Development Agenda under the umbrella of twin transition requires digital and green transformation simultaneously. We are all aware that European Green Deal is a comprehensive sustainable development model which necessitates a paradigm shift in all policy areas and sectors of society. Research and innovation are getting more important, enabling SMEs to access digital tools and also reskilling current labor force. Moreover, the introduction of industrial ecosystem points out the importance of close cooperation among all stakeholders in order to realize environmental and digital targets of the EU. As a TÜSİAD, we firmly believe that our close relation with various business organizations around the world bring many opportunities for inclusive and sustainable ecosystem. Today, in cooperation with BDI, we will hear Turkish and German experiences and find examples on this issue from our keynote speakers and panelists, which will be beneficial for both Turkish and German industries. Lastly, I would like to thank BDI for always being a solid partner of TÜSİAD and Turkey co-organizing this event. I would like to also thank our keynote speakers and panelists for their valuable contribution. I wish a great event for all participants, and I would like to give the stage to Ms. Iris Flöger for the opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Mr. Ibichliu, and thank you very much, dear Mrs. Inz, for the moderation. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to today's webinar. I'm very pleased about your interest in the issue of knowledge transfer in the field of Industry 4.0. Right at the beginning, I would like to thank TÜSİAD for the excellent cooperation in organizing this event. With the knowledge transfer in the field of Industry 4.0, we shed light on an issue that is of very high importance when it comes to exploiting the potentials of Industry 4.0. It's because the digital transformation described by the concept of Industry 4.0 does not take place exclusively with the company's own boundaries. Instead, we have to regard Industry 4.0 as a process of digital transformation along the whole supply chain. Therefore, it is essential to facilitate the transfer of knowledge and technology in the different domains. In the next few minutes, I'm going to present you BDI's perspective on the question of what is particularly important in this context and how Germany and Turkey can learn from each other. Without doubt, Industry 4.0 is a synonym for successful digitalization made in Germany. German companies are taking a leading role in this area, and there are many very advanced examples for the use of Industry 4.0 technologies in Germany. According to a survey conducted by the German association Bitkom, 6 out of 10 industrial companies in Germany currently use Industry 4.0 applications. Nevertheless, the adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies on a broad scale, in particular among small and medium-sized enterprises, is progressing rather slowly in Germany. That's why we must not rest on our technological expertise. What is rather needed is to further intensify our efforts to promote the knowledge transfer in the field of Industry 4.0 in order to reach out to as many companies as possible. For this reason, I'm glad that there is a differentiated landscape of transfers actors in Germany that are committed to this goal. A central characteristic of the transfer landscape in Germany is the important role of application-oriented research organizations as well as organizations located at a regional level. With Fraunhofer and Bayern Innovativ, we are very pleased to welcome 2 of these actors to our webinar today. The work of these organizations exemplifies how, in practice, different target groups can be addressed successfully by providing concrete, sector-specific, and easy-to-understand information. Of particular importance is also the coordination between the different transfer actors in order to exploit synergies and use resources efficiently. An important role in this area takes the Transfernetzwerk Industrie 4.0 that is part of the German platform Industry 4.0. That's why I'm happy that we can also welcome a representative of the Transfernetzwerk to our webinar today. Even though there is a broad landscape of transfer actors in the field of Industry 4.0 in Germany, it is of course of utmost importance to learn from other countries. That's why I highly appreciate that the joint BDI-TÜSİAD Working Group on Industrial Cooperation takes on this important issue with today's webinar. Within this working group, we have already successfully addressed other important digital issues in the past. And I'm sure that today's webinar will also offer many interesting insights that are helpful for transfer actors as well as users of Industry 4.0 technologies in Turkey and in Germany. This is also very important because Industry 4.0 is increasingly about building transnational ecosystems for the networking of industrial production processes. These ecosystems have to be shaped commonly with our international partners. Events such as today's webinar provide an excellent opportunity to proceed on this path, and I'm convinced that this meeting provides an excellent setting to discuss best practices in the area of Industry 4.0 knowledge transfer. Due to scheduling reasons, I cannot follow the entire meeting, unfortunately. However, I wish you all an interesting webinar that provides a lot of food for thought. And of course, cooperation. Let me assure you that the BDI will continue to support the work of our common working group with TÜSİAD in the future. Thank you very much for your attention.
Ms. Plöger, thank you very much. I would like to thank Mr. Ebiçlioğlu and Ms. Plöger for their opening remarks. Now I would like to give the floor to Anna-Lena Laub from the Transfer Network Industry 4.0 to deliver her keynote speech titled How to Achieve Successful Knowledge Transfer in the Area of 4.0. Stage is yours, Anna-Lena.
Thank you very much. I think you should see my screen already. Yes? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So yes, thank you for the invitation of Platform Industry 4.0 and the Transfer Network, which is part of our network. And I've been asked to give a few words about how knowledge transfer can be achieved successfully. And I have brought two examples today, one in national cooperation, so in regards to Germany, and also international cooperation. And to introduce myself, my particular role in the Platform Industry 4.0 is that I coordinate our international cooperations. And sometimes I also help out my colleague of national cooperations who's in charge of the transfer network of Platform Industry 4.0. So this is how I came here today. So for those of you who do not know Platform Industry 4.0 already, I shortly want to introduce our network. So yes, Platform Industry 4.0 is an open network and decentral network in Germany for the digital transformation of industry. And all the participants involved in this network are convinced that this is such a big challenge that cannot be achieved alone. And this is why they collaborate in this pre-competitive network. And there come together experts from different areas of society, for example, from science, from business. We have a high participation rate by companies, and then also we see a high support by government, especially the Federal Ministry of Economy and Energy, and also of research and education. And then we also have our central partners from the business associations as BDI. So thank you again for networking us today to this event, and further trade unions. And yes, so this is our network. And the main motivation of the network is to shape open digital ecosystems within Germany, but we always think global as well. So we think everything we do in Germany needs to find connections on international scale. And some years ago, our experts defined the 2030 vision for Industry 4.0. So their vision, what they think is necessary for a successful digital transformation of industry. And they have defined 3 pillars. First of all, autonomy, which is the basis to make free and independent market decisions and to act in fair competition. Then also interoperability as a basis that all entities involved in such a big ecosystem can cooperate seamlessly. And then as a third highly important pillar, sustainability, thought in all three dimensions of sustainability, meaning social sustainability, especially decent work and education in the area for industry. Then also resource efficiency and circular economy. And the platform on the whole is working as a social participation project. So that's also a central aspect of sustainability. And now I have brought a rather complex slide. We do not have to go into detail of the structure of Platform Industry 4.0, but what I want to point out is that we have, so that the heart of Platform Industry 4.0 are 6 working groups on different topics where recommendations and concepts are elaborated by the working groups. And these ideas and these concepts, they need to find a broader transfer into a bigger ecosystem. And the idea is, you can see in the pink box, you see international cooperation as one activity to transfer the knowledge and concepts. And then in the greenish box, you see the Industry 4.0 transfer network as a central part of the activities of Platform Industry 4.0. And now I want to switch to transfer network to explain a bit more in detail what this exactly is about. And yes, as you can see, there are many different participants in the transfer network. The central goal of the network is to exchange ideas, identify synergies, and to pool resources into joint actions of organizations, multipliers, innovation hubs, which are all active in the area of Industry 4.0 within Germany. And this activity or this network is supported again by the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, and also our Ministry for Education and Research. The entities or organizations you see listed here are not always directly connected to SMEs, but they are very important multipliers in the whole ecosystem. And eventually, by reaching these entities, SMEs are eventually reached. So the messages, the ideas, the concepts, they are transferred along different multipliers until they reach SMEs. And to have a closer look, who's in this network? So you see, for example, the SME 4.0 competence centers. This is actually an entity which has very direct contact to SMEs. You see chambers of commerce, business associations, but then regarding the political organization in Germany, we have our political institutions on a government level, and then also on state level. We have 16 states in Germany, and so we have representatives of those state governments as well in the transfer network to reach all the particular regions in Germany. And then we also have agencies for who are responsible for digitalization on state level, or to coordinate funding projects, and then also important research institutions like Fraunhofer, and finally also close collaboration partners as Labs Network, Industry 4.0, and Standardization Council 4.0. And to give you a better impression what is the exact outcome of such a network, despite exchanging on concepts and ideas, during the years, the participants of the transfer network have also filled an online map with use cases. You can already access over 360 use cases on this map. Then they also have written a technology catalog, which addresses the key topics of Industry 4.0. Some use cases have also been displayed a bit in a lively manner as storytelling use cases. And then, of course, the transfer network also facilitates workshops and events. And as I mentioned before, for Germany, the global relations are very important in industry. And so we also have a strong network of international cooperation partners. The countries you see listed on this map are our closest collaboration partners, with whom we have individual working groups and signed MOUs. But our relations go beyond these listed companies. For Platform Industry 4.0, the exchange and dialogue with all interested countries are very central. And so we put high effort in this as well. And as a last slide, I brought some learnings from also international cooperation. How can this work successfully? And we have identified some learnings over time. Especially high business engagement is very important, especially when you collaborate in working groups, and you need to have highly motivated business participation there. And for us, it's always important, for us as Platform Industry 4.0, collaboration and pre-competitive networks is very important, because some solutions cannot be developed on the market, but they need to find solutions which are open to everyone. And learning partnerships is our highest goal. So all parties involved need to bring something which can benefit the other party as well, so that there is a feeling that there is a mutual learning and everybody is open to learn together. And then, yes, we as a network, we do not work on our own, but we are dependent on all the collaboration between the big ecosystem of Industry 4.0. Yes, so these were my messages to the group, and I wish you a successful meeting. Thank you for the invitation.
Ms. Laub, thank you very much for your speech. For the second keynote speech, I would like to give the word to Efe Erdem, Executive Director of MEX Technology Center and the Head of TÜSİAD Next Generation Industry Working Group. Mr. Erdem's keynote will be on the advent of Turkey's Industry 4.0, the role of competence centers, and the case of MEX. Mr. Erdem, the floor is yours.
Apologies. So thank you for the kind introduction. My name is Efe Erdem. I'm presenting today in this webinar one of the largest employers association of the country, MES, and being also a proud member of TÜSİAD, I have the privilege of presenting to you a very tangible case of converting Industry 4.0 into reality in the field through MEXT, and I will give you more specifics about what MEXT does and how it helps industrial companies to accelerate their digital transformation. So let me first start with the advent of Industry 4.0 in Turkey. So Turkey as a country has ambitious targets as stated in the 2023 strategy document of the Ministry of Industry and Technology. So until 2023, the country aims at significantly increasing the share of manufacturing industry in GDP, as well as the number of global brands and the content of technology in the produced products, especially when it comes to high-tech products. So, of course, this is not easy to achieve, and it takes a significant transformation effort to do this, obviously. So, taking another angle from World Economic Forum's approach perspective, Turkey was categorized in this analysis by the Forum, World Economic Forum, as one of the so-called legacy countries when it comes to the structure of production and the readiness for the future. So that actually means currently we have a big homework to do as a country, and this gives you already a good feel for the intensity of effort that is needed. Right now, the survey conducted by McKinsey, one of the consultancy companies, suggested in Turkey, nearly 80% of companies consider Industry 4.0 solutions as relevant, and they recognize the importance of those. But when we take a look at the numbers of decision makers, 60% of those companies still do not have tangible KPIs and a solid vision for what to do with Industry 4.0 and what to target, basically. And final word about the level that Turkey wants to attain. Comparing with countries, the added value by industrial employment, again, the numbers suggest on the slide that there is quite a long way to go, and that underlines again the importance of investing in Industry 4.0 in the country in order to achieve the 2023 targets. So what are the biggest obstacles, that perceived obstacles, let's put it this way. Again, according to the survey conducted by McKinsey, the top 4 obstacles can be listed as perceived high investment costs. There is a prejudice against the investment needed for Industry 4.0, cultural change difficulties, lack of clear vision and strategy, and lack of skill set. So exactly in order to address those challenges, MES established MEXT, one of the leading digital transformation and capability building centers in the world, in order to exactly assist industrial companies along those dimensions, namely giving them a very clear roadmap for transformation and upskilling their workforce at scale. So 2 quick numbers about the association. The association currently hosts 259 member companies, some of which are big German manufacturers in Turkey like Siemens, Bosch, Mercedes-Benz, BSH, MI, and Rexroth, and similar others. And in a nutshell, those companies account for $60 billion of Turkish economy and 40% of the country's exports. So why did the association then decide to establish a large-scale digital transformation and capability building center? As outlined previously, the association wants to provide very tangible services to those companies in their I4.0 transformation efforts. So to give them a very solid technology roadmap, a very actionable roadmap for their efforts, as well as upskilling their workforce and give them the necessary skill set required by the digital manufacturing era. So what does MEXT offer? Again, in a nutshell, there are 4 pillars of the value proposition. First and foremost, this is a facility located at downtown Istanbul, very centrally, 10,000 square meters. It hosts a digital factory, more than 130 use cases, that aim to give a very clear vision of what the companies should be doing. It's not a showcase area as such. It is meant to transfer knowledge, which is today's topic. So this digital factory serves as both a learning ground for all layers of organization, as well as testing new technologies in an extensive testbed environment. The digital maturity assessment aims to provide the clarity that the top decision maker needs for his or her company and factory. And capability building programs, as the name suggests, is aiming to provide the necessary skill set to all employees, not only a handful of engineers, but also embracing the shop floor employees and the frontline employees in production as well. And last but not least comes ecosystem, which again, in line with today's spirit of this webinar, aims at connecting industrial companies with technology companies, startups, and universities and research institutes so that they get up to speed about the state-of-the-art knowledge and technology. So I will quickly scan through those 4 pillars quickly. This gives you an impression of the facility, the digital factory that I mentioned. So this is an environment where use cases really meet reality and people can understand what those use cases really deliver in terms of tangible value and how, more importantly, how to implement those use cases in their respective factories when they go back to their companies. Here we bring best national and international technology providers in this environment to enable this knowledge transfer. And as suggested, this displays right now more than 130 use cases to date. Regarding the maturity assessment services we provide, here we proudly cooperate with Fraunhofer. It was mentioned several times at the beginning. It's the leading applied research institute of Germany and Europe. And our German colleagues are coming to Turkey physically to pay a visit to factories and witness end-to-end the production and value stream process, and then establish a very solid roadmap, 2-year horizon roadmap for the transformation efforts. That is to suggest a prioritized project list, not in generic terms, but very concrete, specific terms, what those companies should be doing. On the other side of the planet, we cooperated with Singapore government with what they call Smart Industry Readiness Index. This is in essence a much more agile and I would say a compact version, again, drawing on the knowledge of the likes of TÜSİAD, Siemens and SAP. It was constructed in the beginning. So again, it embraces the know-how generated in Germany regarding Industry 4.0. The only difference being we have trained people, consultants in-house who can do Smart Industry Readiness Index on the ground, whereas with the Fraunhofer case, it's our German colleagues who come to Turkey to conduct these exercises for the industrial companies. And for the ecosystem that we embrace, you have already seen big brand names like Siemens, Bosch, SAP, and as well as Fraunhofer, and also many more multinationals like Microsoft, McKinsey, and the like. And all of those contribute to the knowledge creation for the member companies and for the overall Turkish industry, I would say. And they are trying to reach out to the key decision makers in the industry, and so thereby enabling a successful knowledge transfer and implementation effort on the ground. I think Mrs. Iris Plöger underlined the importance of collaboration. So this is actually what we are trying to promote here, bring those both international players as well as locally leading companies here together with the industry to enable that knowledge transfer and facilitate the collaboration on those Industry 4.0 projects. Again, the role of the SMEs was highlighted previously. I also would like to highlight that the ecosystem that we are catering to comprises also to some extent SMEs. So our vision is very aligned to that. So on the one end of the spectrum, we address the needs of big multinationals in this association, but also equally look after the needs of the small and medium-sized enterprises in the country as well. So this is the last page, but it actually signifies quite an important cornerstone on the journey of Next as a digital transformation and capability building center. So we partnered with World Economic Forum last year, 1 year ago, and the launch took place with the inauguration of the Mr. President and Mr. Minister of Technology and Industry. With this platform called Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, we have basically opened up the industrial community of Turkey to the wider globe. And we are partnering with countries on an international level to understand what they are doing to facilitate and accelerate the adoption of Fourth Industrial Revolution technologies in the ground, and how public and private sector can cooperate effectively to drive this change forward. So in summary, this platform exists to bring together actors from both public and private sector and academia to draft policies and enable much more quicker adoption of Fourth Industrial Revolution technologies in the ground. So I would like to end by saying that we are a big believer in the power of ecosystems on international level, most definitely, as you have seen from the map of the network. And we are investing in the up skills of the workforce, and going forward, we will be hopefully bringing positive news from the ground with solid transformation stories from those industrial companies. And again, thank you so much for the kind invitation, and looking forward to the rest of the event. Thank you.
Mr. Erdem, thank you very much for sharing valuable insights with us. Now we will continue with our panel, which will discuss the facilitation of knowledge transfer in the area of Industry 4.0 in Turkey and Germany. I would like to give the floor to our moderator, Oliver Klein, Senior Manager of Digitalization and Innovation at BDI. Mr. Klein, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Hazal, for the very kind introduction, and good afternoon and a very warm welcome from Berlin. My name is Oliver Klein. I'm working as a senior manager in the Department for Digitalization and Innovation at the BDI, and in this function I'm in charge for Industry 4.0. And I'm also very pleased that we are meeting today in order to discuss together the very important topic of knowledge transfer in the field of Industry 4.0. As we've seen in the opening remarks, this issue is of very high importance, because only if we make it to reach out to as many companies as possible, we can exploit the full potentials of Industry 4.0. And in particular, of course, small and medium-sized companies have to be supported. And we as the BDI, we are also very active in this field. For example, we are taking part in the transfer network of the German platform Industry 4.0 that was presented some minutes ago by Ms. Laub. And moreover, we are also putting a special focus on providing SMEs with information that supports them in the process of digitalization. One example, in the next week, we are hosting a webinar on the use of data by small and medium-sized enterprises. But in Germany and Turkey, of course, there are many other actors that are very active in the field of knowledge transfer. And 4 of them have been invited to today's panel discussion in order to discuss country-specific features of the transfer system, as well as best practices from both countries. And I would like to warmly welcome in alphabetic order Mr. Erdem Alptekin. He is Director for Research and Development and IT at Siemens Turkey. And Mr. Heiko Bartschat, he is the head of the Mechatronics and Automation Cluster at Bayern Innovativ. Moreover, I would like to welcome Mr. Michael Fritz. Mr. Fritz is working as a manager corporate business development and ICT at Fraunhofer. And last but not least, a very warm welcome to Professor Dr. Müge Klein. She's working at the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences at the Turkish German University in Istanbul. It's great to have you all here today. One last organizational issue before we can start. Questions from our audience are very welcome, so please feel free to raise these questions. If you want to do so, please use the chat function in Zoom in order to put forward your questions, and my colleagues from TÜSİAD will inform me, and then I can ask the questions to our panelists. Okay, so let's start now. The first question goes to Erdem from Siemens Turkey. Erdem, Siemens is also a very, very prominent company in Turkey, and I would like to know how Siemens approaches the issue of knowledge transfer, and what are your current projects in this field?
Oliver, thank you very much for this polite and warm introduction, and thank you for TÜSİAD for inviting Siemens. It's really a privilege and honor for us, and I welcome warmly all the attendees, panelists, colleagues, and also in this event. Yes, and before us, actually, there was very good, nice information shared, putting the platforms, Industry 4.0, application research on the center of this knowledge exchange, and which we all share. Just shortly to give you an overview about which areas we work in Siemens in Turkey, also globally, because as you know, because of the, let's say, this transformation which is going around the globe is affecting also the companies. Companies are also transforming, and also the portfolios of the companies are transforming. So as currently the main focus areas of Siemens is the digital industries, which we focus on industrial automation and digital twin, or digital technologies in industry. Actually, the second main group is smart infrastructures, which we focus on building technologies and making smart cities, and focusing on the energy distribution or electrification challenge and some mega trends. And of course, the mobility. We focus on speed trains and so on. And Siemens healthcare, we focus on the healthcare challenges of the world, actually. These are the four areas. We also share our brand name with Robert Bosch, with the BSH, which was a former long-term joint venture, but now it's with Bosch. We are not making any nice home appliances anymore, but we still love them. We still love them, particularly the ones which have Siemens brand on it. These are still very nice. And the Siemens Energy part is also now a publicly floating company. It's also still have the Siemens, but the energy production, renewables are not our core area at the moment. But when we look to this ones, as I mentioned, the portfolio is changing very fast. And the portfolio of Siemens is going on the digital, to the platforms, to the software. And the current, let's say, the technology is, advancement is also forcing the companies to change and to collaborate, to build or to innovate together. The co-creation is becoming more and more important, actually. And when we look Turkey and Germany, there are many commonalities, which are sometimes conflicting, sometimes complementing, but this is also creating some diversity, actually, which is also, I think, good base for creating collaboration. And when we look to the sectors as being the main trade partner, the Turkey, at least from the Turkey side, Fatih Bey mentioned that it has reached 33 billion US dollars at the moment, the trade volume between Turkey and Germany, which is really high. This is also affecting the maturity of or development of the sectors as well. So when we look to the Turkey, the major sectors are, as you all know, the biggest ones, automotive, then machinery is coming, the second, or in the electronics, it is home appliances is also very big, chemistry or pharma. So which we see that because of the trade relations and historical relations, the sectors are also very similar. So which also brings a nice potential also to share this knowledge and also to bring additional products to the market. So in Industry 4.0 and in technological innovation, yes, this is one part, but which is also important is also the business innovation and also the process innovation. And from the technology side, at least from my perspective, the position of Germany in regards to technology or technological innovation is the maturity of Germany is ahead of Turkey. But from its scarce resources and so on, Turkey has more advantage on to build more with less. And I think from this is also reflected in the business innovation or in the process innovation part of the Siemens business, I assume. And by focusing, as Iris mentioned, on the application research is actually from both sides are really one area, I think, which we use for knowledge exchange. Like how we are trying to do is we are trying to be in part of the platforms like Next, or trying to form some platforms together with some universities, like the Koç University Manufacturing Research Center, or with the Bilkent National MR Research Center. So we share our, let's say, products which are under research in this labs, in these universities, so that we open it, even the source codes are open. And these products are the ones which are still not, let's say, launched in the market, so that we share this knowledge that we can really develop this product in an open environment with our customers, with our partners, with our suppliers, and so on. So that this is also one of the areas we are using to share knowledge in either side, actually. And when we look to the product development, for example, Siemens has a very big trust to Turkey, especially to the potential of resources in Turkey. And we have an R&D department of 800 people, researchers, making mainly product development and application research. And this year, in this current year, we would like to extend it to 1,000 people. And the environment we provide in Istanbul, Ankara, or Izmir R&D centers we have is identical with our research center globally. So what technology, what knowledge base we have is available globally as Siemens is open for every researcher in our research centers in Turkey as well. And also with some research projects, we share this also with our partners in the universities. And we really benefit this from a lot, because this brings diversity and different perspective to some of the challenges or problems which we couldn't solve up to now. And with a different approach, it's now with the diversified approaches, is possible to solve, actually, which is, I think, a benefit for everyone. Just to give some examples, some of the products which are also actually at the moment the main technology or future products of Siemens is being developed in Turkey is the MindSphere, which is the industrial IoT platform, for example, or the industrial edge platform, which we also have cloud applications and industrial applications being developed on it, or the industrial 5G network technologies, which we also develop, or the software controllers, which are these technological areas is really the core development areas for Siemens, which we also share this knowledge in Turkey, and we are proud to do this with our research partners like Koç University, Turkish German University, and also with Bilkent University. We also have a training and research center also, which is commissioned newly, very recently, in the mechatronics department of Turkish German University, actually, which we would like to extend this. And I think both parties is benefiting a lot. Both the Turkish economy, the ecosystem which we are supporting, supplying, and also the globally the Germany itself. And we are very happy to be in Turkey by sharing this knowledge and see that both countries are benefiting from this. Yeah, thank you for this. I hope that I finish it in the defined time frame, Oliver.
Yes, we are perfectly in time. And thank you, Adam. I think you raised a lot of important issues, and I'm sure that we will pick up certain of these issues later on in the course of our panel discussion. But the next question is for Mr. Bartschat. Mr. Bartschat, in Germany, as Ms. Plöger mentioned in her opening remarks, the initiatives and the organizations at the level of the 16 federal states play traditionally a very important role in the field of knowledge transfer. And I would like to know how exactly Bayern Innovativ supports users in adapting Industry 4.0 technologies. We cannot hear you right now. There seem to be some problems with the sound. I still can't hear you. Maybe I ask Hazal, do you have any idea how we could solve this problem?
He seems unmuted, but still we can't hear him, I guess. So okay. If you have any headphones, maybe we can try to plug him.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So Oliver, would you like to just pass to the other question?
Yeah, I would say we move forward to Michael from Fraunhofer, and in between Mr. Bartschat, maybe you can look for another microphone. So Michael, very warm welcome. And it was also already said that Fraunhofer is among world's leading organizations in the field of applied research. And I think that various activities in the field of Industry 4.0 are kind of integral part of Fraunhofer's portfolio and daily business. So it would be great to outline a little bit more in detail Fraunhofer's activities in the field of Industry 4.0 knowledge transfer.
Thanks, Oliver. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, it works perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Okay. We've overcome this obstacle already. So thanks again for having me invited. It's an honor and a pleasure being here in this panel and having heard how things are developing in between Turkey and Germany and Industry 4.0 topic. And actually, I have brought some slides with me it's been mentioned a couple of times that Fraunhofer is well known in Germany, but I'm not sure if everybody in the audience knows about Fraunhofer and what we are doing. So let me just share my slides, and I hope this is working. Actually, I have the permission to
test 1, 2 test.
Oh, we can hear you.
Yeah, now it's working, Mr. Bartschat. Great, good to know.
Okay, so let me just share this with you. I only see my presentation. I can't see you anymore. So I hope if you can give me a short signal if you can see my slides.
No, we cannot see them.
Okay, so let me just double check. Okay, so maybe I have to click this one and then. Can you see now something?
We can still see the pictures of the panelists, but not the presentation itself.
Okay, so maybe I stop sharing and let me try this in a different way. Sorry for that. So now I'm sharing my screen, hopefully.
Yes, now it's working.
Yes, fantastic. Okay, thanks. Sorry for that. So I think we have now gone through all the technical difficulties by now. So just briefly, and really just a few words on where we are coming from, but it's important for the general understanding. I think you can read the numbers. It's 29,000 people we have in research. We have 75 institutes spread most over Germany. Our budget is 2.8 billion, and 70% of that is coming from in projects, contracts with industry and from public financed research project, and 1/3 is coming from so-called base funding from the German government or from the state governments. It's just briefly some numbers. We have an international footprint, but you don't see Turkey here. So we to be honest with you, I think Fraunhofer is has a very good footprint in Germany and in Europe, and in the rest of the world, we do have some research facilities, but most of the other bubbles that you can see here on this world map are more of representative or senior advisor offices. So our research is really concentrating on Europe. Now, so where do we stand as Fraunhofer in this whole system of research education in Germany? And we position ourselves, or have been positioned basically, between the university, which we call the basic research, and the industry. So this is kind of bridging the gap between what our basic university, basic research facilities like university, but we do have other organizations like Max Planck, for instance, just to name one. And we are trying to bring this demand research, this demand-driven research into the industry and combine it with our scientific excellence. And now that's why I was making this point earlier with the budget, that 1/3 of our 1/3 comes from the public hand, but 2/3 are from projects. And that's why I think we have this linkage in the system, which allows us to talk to both sides to understand what is coming next in terms of basic research and what is the requirement from the industry. And that is where we are coming from. Now we have this what we call strategic fields of research, and you see here some very important topics that we finance with the base funding, so to say. When we talk about, for instance, Industry 4.0, important topics are obviously artificial intelligence, next generation computing is in the microelectronics topics, but also the quantum technologies, which is just beginning. Just to allow me this slide, additional words, that we do have the first and only quantum computer run in Europe, in Germany. So you actually can run this on European law, German law. But also resource efficiency is another important topic. And all of these impact goals are listed here, and you see the digitalized value chain here. But you don't see Industry 4.0, basically. So this is an important thing to mention, that within these strategic fields, we organizing ourselves on these future topics. But in terms of Industry 4.0, we don't see this as a future topic in the sense that is a bit more research done, but it's more really the applied research and bring it into the industry. And that's why we have developed this so-called layer model. This layer model really combines all the topics, and I really am saying technologies and topics that we understand are covered by Industry 4.0. And you can see here these 3 layers. And the first layer here is, or we start in the middle maybe, is the production area, where you see different segments, pizza slices, if you could call it, where we have added different topics. Like it starts from engineering. You can see here the manufacturing tools, machinery. We see robots, robotics, work organization, logistics, resource efficiency. All of those, within these areas, we do have dedicated topics or technologies that we think are important for Industry 4.0, for the transformation of the value chain. Additionally to this, we have the information and communication technology. That's actually where I'm coming from. So this is more of the area that I could elaborate on, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But naturally, you see here communication network. We heard about 5G in the discussion earlier. Software technologies. You're gonna find technologies like blockchain in here, data management, which covers also artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity is obviously one. Safety, privacy, security for data and information. It's just a very important topic, which covers the area of data sovereignty. And third, and that last one, we call it enterprise transformation. We've heard that earlier, that we need people. We need to take the people with us on this journey. We need to do education. We do need to have the change management in the sense of that, how do we change the whole system? And actually, one of the most important things is business models and business planning. We are looking into digital business models and use the technologies that we can provide from the two other layers, and transform companies for the next step in this journey. That's it from my side in the first place, and I hope that you can see me now again. I didn't know if you could see me in the meantime during my presentation.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. So the core message here is we do have technologies and topics, and we need to think about not only technologies, how to implement in the industry side, but also look a bit forward, what's coming next, but also do the important step of implementing it within the industry. And I'm happy to see what Mr. Erdem was presenting earlier. Hello, Mr. Erdem. We have been in touch before from Next, and so it's good to see that these things are really developing on both sides with our partners like Siemens and like Bayern Innovative, like the universities. And I think that's the one thing we've heard a couple of times. It's something we cannot do alone. We need to work together.
Thanks a lot, Michael. This was also very helpful and interesting. And I also think that we have already seen how much we can learn from each other. And I think this will be one of the main outcomes of this webinar today. But now let's again switch to Mr. Bartschat. I think you have successfully solved the technical problems, and now I invite you to give a brief overview about Bayern Innovative's work in the federal state of Bavaria.
Thank you. I hope now it's working. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
Everything is working fine.
So in fact, you have asked about the idea of this federal policy for these clusters. And in fact, over the last 15 to 20 years, the federal government and the states in Germany have worked towards a good symbiosis between business and science. Cluster policy, for example, perfectly complements this transfer mission, whether at the federal level as a Spitzencluster Initiative, which was started in 2012, if I remember well, or more recently, the Zukunftscluster Initiative of the Ministry of Research, or the Go Cluster Initiative of the Ministry of Economics on federal level. Bavaria was a pioneer here and founded Bayern Innovative as early as 1995. We want to pave the way for every viable idea and technology to become an innovation, means to be successfully positioned on the market. Through our networks, we help companies and research and development partners to obtain sector and for mechatronic, it's more technology-specific information about the significance of technological or organizational trends, for example, Industry 4.0, or about how innovative technologies can be used in the product development process from engineering to service. So it's a more an holistic view in the meaning of mechatronics and automation. My colleagues also at Bayern Innovativ at the Zentrum Digitalisierung Bayern, the Center for Digitization in Bavaria, provide branch-specific information on the possibilities of digitization in order to make it easier for companies to access digitization. In the fields of application of digitalization, here the range from the construction industry to energy, over mobility, e-mobility and the mobility infrastructure, over medical technology and agriculture, to the changes that digitalization brings in the design of the working world, working new work or work 4.0, or for consumers, for example. In clusters such as the mechatronic and automation cluster, which I represent here, we unite stakeholders from business, science, and politics, and offer them platforms where they can present themselves with their competences, obtain direct feedback from potential partners, or compare their progress on the path to Industry 4.0 with others. In addition, stakeholders can regularly exchange ideas and develop projects on common challenges, such as OT security, for example, or on common opportunities, such as additive manufacturing. If there is an interest in research funding for such projects, we at Bayern Innovativ, my colleagues, can serve here as a funding guide in the search for suitable EU, federal, or state-owned funding programs. At the end of a development project is the protection of intellectual property. Our colleagues at the Patent Center Bavaria, also in Bayern Innovativ, can help here. And when it comes to marketing, our partners can use our joint trade fair stands or the services of our colleagues at the Enterprise Europe Network. Once a company has decided on an innovative path, the employees must also be willing and able to go along with the change. That is, in my opinion, the most necessary effort to do. That is why we have our own Mechatronic Academy. There we offer seminars, or nowadays more webinars and trainings on many questions about how different technical domains can work together and how new digital methods can be applied. So that's a short overview and aspects on cluster policy in Bavaria and in special in Bayern Innovativ. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bartschat. And I think in particular, the issue of support in the area of identifying the right funding programs and funding schemes is also of utmost importance and must not be neglected in the whole field. But now let's turn to Ms. Müge Klein. Müge universities are traditional institutions that always create a lot of knowledge, and in order to fully exploit the value possibilities connected with this knowledge, the aspect of commercialization is of extreme importance. So it would be very interesting to learn from you how the Turkish-German university does successfully transfer knowledge between the academic sector and the sector of industry, in particular in the field of digital transformation.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for organizing this event and for inviting me. And before giving an answer to Oliver, I want to give a short introduction to Turkish German University. Turkish German University is a Turkish state university that has been established in 2013 based on an agreement signed between the governments of Turkey and Germany. The purpose of the establishment is to combine the most important achievements of the Turkish and German higher education traditions in the fields of research and teaching, and to make significant contributions to the scientific, economic, and cultural cooperation between the two countries. As Turkish German University defines itself as a research university in academic classification, the knowledge transfer between academia and industry becomes a very important issue for us. And that's why there are great moves and plans made in this area in our university, despite its young age. And we are just 8 years old. One of these moves is the establishment of the unit Industrial Relations Coordinatorship to provide and carry out all the university industry corporations. It is directly affiliated to our rectorate, and it is carried out with the subunits University Industry Cooperation Unit, Career Center, Patent Center, and Law Commission. Especially the unit of University Industry Cooperation is responsible for all industry partnerships and projects. Another step in supporting the knowledge transfer between academia and industry is our Technopark project. Many big universities in Turkey have similar projects. The foundation of our digital park Technocity is a joint project between our university and Recep Tayyip Erdoğan University, and the foundation were laid in July of this year. It will be built on a total area of 50,000 square meters in Istanbul, in Çekmeköy, and in Rize, 5,000 square meters. When our digital park Technocity reaches full capacity with its campuses in Istanbul and in Rize, it will host 300 entrepreneurs with 4,000 full-time research and development personnel. The establishment of another platform with the name CITE, a platform where academia meets industry in topic of sustainability, innovation, and trend labs, is another activity to support the knowledge transfer between us and industry. We see the knowledge transfer not only in research, but also in education, I would like to add. That's why we are organizing in most of our faculties lectures held by practitioners from industry. Let's come to digital transformation. This was the main question, I think. According to digital transformation, we're going to establish the Turkish German University Digital Transformation Excellence Center within our university. The general aim of this center will be to support end-to-end transformation, digital transformation, including manufacturing, service industry, and commercial companies. We want to be a center with a transformation mechanism where we can bring all academic, industrial, and sectoral stakeholders together and provide them interaction. Our project application, I'm very glad to say this, about the establishment of this center is recently approved, and it will be supported by the Istanbul Development Agency from the Ministry of Interior. Big German companies like Siemens, we talked about with Mr. Aktek, with Erdem before, in Turkey, such as Bosch and Siemens, have already confirmed their participation in that project. They will support the establishment of our center, both technically and organizationally. In our Digital Transformation Excellence Center, research and development activities, especially in new technologies like robotics, smart systems, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and big data will be carried out, as well as training and as well as consultancy for digital transformation processes will be provided. Our distance education center, UZEM, has already begun with training of digital skills and competences, which will be then integrated in the Digital Transformation Excellence Center. In addition, by providing sector-specific digital maturity analysis data sets, the center will enable companies to make their own maturity analysis and create their digital transformation action plans and roadmaps through a digital platform. This center will not only be a center that shows and teaches the technological applications of Industry 4.0 in manufacturing. In addition, it will support companies and especially SMEs in defining all their digital transformation journeys by addressing administrative, organizational, legal, and technological dimensions. In the center, joint studies are planned to be carried out between Turkish researchers from our university, researchers from our partner universities in Germany, and of course, from companies from Turkey and Germany. To sum up, I can say the knowledge transfer between academia and industry, especially in digital transformation, is one of the missions of the Turkish-German University. And we want to play there a key role, especially with our Digital Transformation Excellence Center. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Müge. And it's very good to hear that this transfer in the area of digital transformation is one of your focus areas. That's very good to hear. So after this introduction round, I would like to put a special focus on the question, what are the current challenges or even obstacles in the transfer in our respective countries? Because I think this question is also of very high importance for the audience and also for each of us. With regards to the time, we have only around 10 minutes left. I kindly ask you to give very brief, very short answers, approximately 2 minutes. And I would like to start with Erdem. Erdem, from a company's perspective, what do you think? What are the main obstacles for an efficient knowledge transfer in Turkey right at the moment?
Okay. I see that Fatih is raising his hand for a couple of minutes, whether for a comment or question, I don't know, but Fatih, at the moment you are muted. Any comments? Okay.
Actually, this wrong. I pushed the wrong button. Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. No problem. No problem. So I just would like to be quick then, actually, because of I would like to leave some more minutes to the other colleagues. So actually, it's also touched in today's world with the technology advancement, the technology and digitalization, Industry 4.0 is forcing the conventional scale or volume or logistic-based companies to change, to transform. Even the small SMEs are, with the new technologies, is making disruption and changing the whole world. We have many, let's say, examples with this, and we have to cope with this. Your consumer is becoming your producer, or your customer becoming your co-creation partner, or vice versa. And the value chain at the moment, when you look in the value chain of the business, at the top you see now the owner of the platforms. They're at the top, and the second comes the players in the platforms, and the rest, conventional or standalone players and so on. We see that this trend will continue. And in regards to actually obstacles, I don't see any obstacles, to be frank. And we have to be open and share the knowledge and focus on co-creation topics and to develop the better together. This is valid for the companies, this is valid for the countries as well. And we have to do it quick, because the technology and the product cycles are shortening, and only the time can be an obstacle or challenge. The clock speed shall move faster. And I think the Turkey culture and the German culture really really complementing themselves. In one side, 200 discipline with very theoretical approaches and analysis. In one side, very agile, starting a business without making a plan. So the combination of these two, I think, is really creating a huge diversity for creating better products or a better world, actually. So will be my message generally. So thank you.
Yes, thank you too. And I've learned that Siemens Turkey has a quite optimistic view on the situation in Turkey. What is good, of course. To keep the focus on Turkey, I would include Müge in the discussion. Müge, what is your assessment, your perspective from the academic sectors? Do you agree with Erdem, or are you not so much optimistic in this context?
Oh, I agree. I agree with him that we have to be fast. I think the new form of society, the knowledge-based society, gives now a bigger role to universities, not so much more to governments and to industries, because to universities, because innovation is increasingly based on scientific knowledge. And the role of universities as creators of scientific knowledge will be in future more valued. Universities will take part. If you compare, if you compare now the universities with 50 years before, universities are part of commercial activities through patenting and licensing, not technology parks like we want to plan, or we want to establish technology parks established by universities, foster the transformation of the university from a basic research center to a center offering maybe commercial goods, or maybe a source for startup firms. In my opinion, industries should develop mechanisms like the example of Fraunhofer to integrate research in universities in their own innovation process, and governments should encourage university industry cooperations by flexible regulations and unbureaucratic funding possibilities. Then we can act and move fastly. I think Germany is on a better position than Turkey. This coordination between industry and research is much more better than in Turkey. And as Turkish universities, we have to take it as example, and we have to try to build this connection, this fast connection, scientific knowledge in universities, industry, and without much regulations and good funding possibilities. In this manner, I think industry and government can support us and can translate scientific research into good economic and social development in Turkey.
Yeah, thank you very much for this assessment and this perspective. So let's now turn to Germany, and I would like to start with Michael. Michael, what do you think? Are there any, let me say, structural problems or obstacles in Germany, or do you also think that in general the process of knowledge transfer is running quite smoothly and efficiently in our country?
I think we do have some, I would say, some challenges. I wouldn't say obstacles. There are some challenges, and again, I have 2 or 3 slides that I would like to share with you that illustrate what I mean by that. I hope it's coming up again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's working.
Yeah. So these are, I don't want to go into the details, but these are what we call tech transfer paths. You see here the research, we do spin-offs, we do IP licensing, standardization, training, infrastructure services, and scientific communication. And I think one of the challenges that we see, and that's why I really appreciate the work of Platform Industry 4.0, is standardization. Standardization is an important topic in terms of that we gain ground and then gain speed to bring individual components together. And I mean that on a technical side, but it also means in terms of the cooperation. between companies. So interoperability could be one of the things that is really important. And as an example, what I would really like to stress here is the really good work from the Ministry of Economic and Energy is kicking off, for instance, and supporting the activities on Gaia-X. I've mentioned the topic of data sovereignty earlier, and I think this is an important topic if we talk about the whole transformation of industries. We need to have the chances to get we call that also a technical sovereignty, but more on a data sovereignty level, so that we allow companies to share data. So we've heard from Siemens of MindSphere, and I think this is a perfect example. You have the ability to run MindSphere on premise or on a cloud, but there might be services that you don't want to share with everybody, even if you're talking, when you, for instance, talking with your supplier or your customer. So then you need to have the ability to control your data, and this is what we have kicked off together with other companies and organizations, but supported by the ministry, which is Gaia-X. And I think you can look that up. It's an example of what we've been doing. You see here the infrastructure, and you see the ecosystems in between is what we call the Gaia-X Federation Services, a topic that we have been researching for quite some time. And here we see this new business models that I've been mentioning also earlier. I don't want to stress it too much, but it's an important thing. And I think the challenge here is standards for data sovereignty, for data sovereign interoperability. And one of the example that I want to highlight here, where we also, again, there's a support from the government, is a project is called Catena-X, and I think that's another topic that I want to highlight here is
very briefly, please.
Yeah, very briefly. Catena-X is the idea of digitizing the whole automotive value chain. And the idea here is, I think it's a brilliant idea, and I everybody can look that up who is interested in. The idea here is that we need some kind of kick start from being in basic funding or organizing these kind of value chain, or across the value chain, the digitization or the transformation. And I think that's one of it's another topic, a challenge that we see, that we need to bring the people, the companies together, explain the value of industrial transformation, Industry 4.0, and see how we can get a common ground on it. Sorry for the lengthy word, but I think these are some challenges that are important.
Thank you, Michael, for your impression. And the last question goes to Mr. Bartschat. Mr. Bartschat, when we're looking at the customer side, on the small and medium-sized enterprises, for instance, what do you think, what might be obstacles or challenges at their side, maybe lack of resources or things like that? Could you also very, very briefly, 1 or 2 minutes, elaborate on this?
Yeah, thank you. I think the most important issue is the resources, maybe the time, maybe the engagement, but it's a good investment, we think, to be engaged in such networks. Clearly, it's in good years when the order books are full, experts have little time to look strategically on the day after tomorrow. And in bad times, the first thing to be cut is spending on conferences or on networking. But that is necessary, I think. Let me put it this way: you only feel the benefit of a network when it's missing. So, and digitalization is accelerating the dynamics of innovation. So we are convinced that the future will, in the future, we will have much more value creation in networks and less in classic supply chains. companies will take on different roles, supplier one day and system integrator the next. So I think involvement in clusters, practicing open innovation, the ability of a company and its employees to get involved in such agile and interdisciplinary consortia and to complement each other. These will be the possibly decisive success factors in future.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bartschat.
Yeah.
I think these are very, very good closing words, closing remarks, because we have already come to the end of our panel session. I think we would have been able to extend the discussion for 30 or even 60 minutes, but we would like to end on time in order not to stress too much the time budget of our audience. And I think what came clearly out of today's webinar and our panel discussion is that there is a vital landscape of transfer initiatives in both countries, in Turkey as well in Germany. And there are so many very good and very helpful instruments and support programs in place. And I think one of the main challenges is to make these programs popular, to share this knowledge and to make companies aware of all these support possibilities. And when I look at business associations such as TÜSİAD or the BDI, I think we can always also play a very important role in this area to make your activities, your support instruments popular in our membership circles. And I think this is one of the tasks we should fulfill in order to also support the whole process of knowledge transfer in the area of Industry 4.0. Well, a big thank you again to our panelists for joining us today. Also, many thanks to the audience for your time and your attendance. I wish you a nice day and hope to see you quite soon again. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye-bye. Yes.